The formation of the British colonies in North America. When the Western Europe went around the world setting up colonies, they did so with the idea that these colonies would help to make them rich. This belief is a policy called mercantilism, which says that having a positive balance of trade in order to maintain military security. When a country exports more than it imports was the most important factor in maintaining this security. Once these colonies were established on the various continents, everything that happened there was done to the benefit of the mother country, including making sure that the natural resources of those colonies are for the exclusive use of the mother country, and that those colonies could never trade with any other country. Part of the plan included making sure that gold and silver were never used to pay off the debts of the mother country, keeping as much as those valuable commodities at home as possible, given their naval and military power. England was one of the countries that became the worst leaders in setting up colonies, something that inevitably brought them into conflict. Conflicts in North America began between France and England because they set up colonies on the eastern part of the continent. The French focused their energy on setting up small trading posts along St. Lawrence River, which flowed from the Great Lakes to the interior of North America out to the Atlantic Ocean. The English set up their colonies further to the south immediately along the Atlantic coast. The English first colony was established along the James River in the colony of Virginia in 1607. It was named Jamestown for King James I. The London Company was responsible for supplying the supplement with what it needed in order to survive in exchange for the colonies coming up with gold, which would help England get a positive balance of trade. Unfortunately for the settlers, gold was not to be found in the region. However, soon it was found that a new cash crop tobacco could be grown and sold for high prices in England. This eventually led to the expansion of the Jamestown colony and its ultimate success. This led to more colonies in the southern area of settlement, including Maryland, North Carolina, South Carolina, and Georgia. The second set colonies developed a little bit more than 600 miles north of Virginia in an area that became known as Plymouth. In 1620, while the southern colonies were set up primarily as business whose purpose was to make money for its investors back in England, Plymouth was originally established by a Protestant sect called the Puritans, who were seeking religious freedom thanks to the help of local American Indian tribes. Those Puritans who survived the first winter at Plymouth began to thrive and grow. In 1630, another group of Puritans came to New England and settled in the area that is now Boston. They established the Massachusetts Bay Colony, which took over the Plymouth Colony in 1691. Eventually, the other colonies of New England region were New Hampshire, Rhode Island, and Connecticut, that were settled by other people seeking religious freedom, even if from those English settlers or within the colonies. The middle colonies were that of New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and Delaware. They were proprietary colonies, meaning the monarchy in the home country gave or land to individuals to run. In Pennsylvania, land was given to William Penn and his friends the Quakers. The other proprietary colonies were established in similar fashion. In varying degrees, each group of colonies established their own local political traditions that would grow into the fabric of what would become the United States. In Virginia, it was the House of Burgesses, a group of elected representatives from the settlers who first met in 1619. In Plymouth, it was the Mayflower Compact, written in 1620 before the settlers left their ship because they had no official chart or for the land that they were about to live on. In addition to those little local political traditions, next lecture would be delivered for the influence of the British government on that of the American government. Trail thematic conclusions. Wherever capitalistic, market-oriented agriculture was the economic substance of a colony, the rate of growth and development was higher. The relatively rapid economic advance of northeast of what is now the United States and its industrialization in the 19th century are the post-facto proof. Before the American Revolution, although the northern English colonies were the least feudal, they remained and attenuated English feudalism. For example, economic intervention of the British government in the settlements and the later colonies. That would be the example of mercantile principles. Cash crop labor intensiveness demanded more hands. That would lead to slavery. In Jamestown, for instance, 1619, that is known as the institutionalization or the first spark of the institutionalization of slavery for profits before that of the black slavery. Early representative government was the first spark of later fight for sovereignty and the establishment of independence from the British government and to establish their own country, their own sovereignty, their own constitution. The arrival of more labor and women, the building force, systematized settlement with laws and charters, expansion throughout French-Spanish territories, the British intervention, and the establishment of mercantile agriculture were the first sparks exemplifying the early immigration and colonization that is known as the First British Empire. The British settlers, the colonies, and the other societies would settle and exemplify the American multiculturalism. As John Smith states, more mercantile, more political, economic, social, and cultural experiences, the higher multicultural it is.